Well, today is going to be a fun episode. So, we're going to be doing, of course, Pro Wrestling Noah with Wrestle Magic, which is, of course, the show after, of course, Monday Magic. This one featured, of course, many surprise appearances from various wrestlers, not only from Noah, but from other promotions as well. Then we have, of course, the JHC Hardcore and the women's title on the line. Then we move on, of course, with this past Saturday's AAA, of course, featuring a bit of a three-way match for the Cruiserweight title. Rey Fenix defends it against Lince Dorada, and the man he defeated the belt for, Laredo Kid. And then, of course, we have another match in there. I forgot which one was it, but it is. But, however, we will hear from Grande Americano after his victory from Noche de Los Grandes, as you know, telling us his feeling during that match and after, but also what's next. Then we move on, of course, with a 2-hour episode of MLW Fusion with 200 You Choose Violence. So basically, we have a lot of things taking place. The MLW National Openwight titles on the line. Austin Aries challenged the man, the myth, the legend, Blue Panther for the belt. And of course, a lot of things are surrounding after what been happening after, of course, the MLW World Heavyweight title on the line last week. And of course, we had a surprise revive back from the dead, of course, Mads Kruger. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, as always, we wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates. Give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is the channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So let's begin, of course, with Pro Wrestling Noah Wrestle Magic. Okay, Pro Wrestling Noah Wrestle Magic. This is their much recent show that happened back on June 15th, of course, in Korakuen Hall. Now, if you guys are not familiarized with the show, this is a show that happens right after, of course, the much recent season of Monday Magic, which is a show produced by Nosawa Rangai, who is a retired Japanese wrestler. You may have seen him a lot. He's been in the business a long, and he was a member of Los Perros Del Mal, of course, the original lineup with, of course, Pero Guayo, and of course the new revival version of it in Japan as well. But this show is basically about who will be making a surprise. Like, you don't know who it is. They don't actually announce the card whatsoever. But however, if there is a championship match, that will take place, and that has always been well recognized from there. Now, our first match features Daiki Odishima teaming up with now the genius of the Arc, Naomichi Marufuji, who is our current MLW National Champion. They take on what's his name, Fuminori Abe and Daichi Hashimoto. Now the match was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Many people who are big fans of Noah would think that now Marufuji would have been the obvious winner of this match, but this match went completely beyond what we have expected. I think we were all expecting someone to pick up the win, but no. Unfortunately, this match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw, so that's how things end right there. Now, our next match, we have a bit of the Yoshi wrestling scene. We have Zones, Miyuki Takase, and of course our current Mighty Gold World Champion, Miku Anu. They take on Johnny Robbie, Miku Alana, and Nightshade. So I thought the match was pretty impressive, not to mention because this is one of two of the Yoshi wrestling matches that was booked, of course. But it was a fantastic match, of course. But in the end, it was, in fact, Miku Anu who picked up the win with the inside cradle onto Miku Alana, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Next up, we have the GHC Hardcore Championship. The current champion Daisuke Sekimoto defends it against Shuji Ishikawa. Now keep in mind, when it's a hardcore match, you can use whatever you want. Tables, chairs, trash cans, ladders, whatever plunder you can find to decapitate your opponent. And that's pretty much, of course, the general consistency. I mean, you saw everything. I mean, well, none of you did saw, but I did. But you can see everything right there. So, and yes, there were going to be people bleeding. Don't forget that. That's something that it's been common in these type of matches. But in the end, it was Ishikawa with a driver onto Sekimoto, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new GHC Hardcore Champion. Our next match, we had a very interesting team up. We have a bit of a how do I say, an international team versus the Japanese team. Representing the international side, we have Reese Alexios, Danny Duggan, and Rich Port Alaya. And of course, he's accompanied by that weasel, Sonny Ono, who many of you may know. He used to be the manager for Ultimo Dragon, of course. They take on Japanese's very own Hayata, who's normally a regular in Noah. Rita, who you may have seen in Dragon Gate, and then of course from DDT Mao. So basically, it's like, you know, think of the Japanese section like all the Japanese unite from different promotions against the international guys, and I thought it was pretty impressive. However, of course, when it comes to Sonny Ono, you know definitely well he's going to get himself involved. But in the end, it was Mao who took out Duggan with a lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting matchup. We have brother Yashi, Takuya Saguawa, Shuji Kondo Masada, and Minoru Fujita, and they're being accompanied by none other, of course, with Nasawa Rangai. They take on a very interesting mask matchup, masked wrestlers. We have Alejandro Tsubasa, don't know who he is. The new and improved Hayabusa, who is, of course, the nephew of the original. The Great Sasuke, and then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Ultimo Dragon. Yup, he was there too. And I thought it was great. Not to mention, I know that Russell Rangai in the past had his fair rivalry with him for many years, and that's always been a case. And of course, you definitely know these guys were the opposing team was going to remove the masked wrestler's mask, but none of that happened. But thank God for, of course, Ultimo Dragon was able to pick up the win with La Casita onto Yash, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match is for the GHC Women's Championship. Now, for those who've not been following, and I apologize for those that I have not covered Mighty Gold for quite some time, let me explain to you guys what happened. Mayu Itani injured her foot during a match, and however, due to the circumstances, she could not defend the title, so she made the obvious choice to vacate the belt and, of course, find a new champion. Now, of course, the first person who was definitely going to try to get this belt is, of course, the great Sakuya, the daughter of the great Muda. So basically, that was the real case. But the person who made a decision to challenge to obtain this belt too is none other than former Marigold, Stardom, and of course Turkish Pro Wrestling talent, Mirai. So basically, that was the case. Now, of course, we've been seeing these two ladies in a bit of preliminaries during Monday Magic the entire time. But however, how this was going to go, of course, we all expect Great Sakuya, much like her dad, of course, was planning to use the green mist in order to win this belt. But however, it did not happen. Apparently, Mirai took her head off with the lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new GHC Women's Champion. So that makes her, I believe, the third. No, hold on. First was, of course, Kyoki Omori, then it was Takumi Iroha, and then Mayu, and that makes, of course, what's her name? Mirai, the fourth, I believe. So that sets it up right there. So now our main event is a very interesting matchup. We have Archie Cole, Titus Alexander, and Kaito Kiyomiya taking on a very impressive team from 3 different promotions. Representing DDT, we have Chris Brooks. Representing Dragon Gate, Luis Mante, and then finally from New Japan, a dickhead. Yep, that's right, Zack Sabre Jr. And I thought this match was fantastic. But there's been more of a fair issues between Zack Sabre Jr. and Kaito Kiyomiya. Now, many of you may not know this. Before making his way to New Japan, Zack Sabre Jr. was part of Noah, of course, and that's where he wrestled from there until he made the transition to New Japan, and that sets it up right there. He knew Kaito Kiyomiya before, and obviously that's something we've been aware of. But however, of course, it was going to be impressive because, well, we know that Zack Sabre Jr. and Chris Brooks know each other very well, and I have to say these two guys, along with Luis Mante, worked pretty well too. But it was in fact Zack Sabre Jr. with a submission onto Archie Cole, and just like that, he tapped out. It was over. So it was a pretty good event. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So we'll see how things roll up with Noah. I know I haven't been following Noah recently, but I thought, why not with this one? So let's move on to our next review, and I believe we have AAA. Okay, AAA. This is our most recent show that happened this past Saturday. We opened up with tag team action. We have El Ojo, consisting of our current Latin American champion, Hijo de Vikingo, and of course, Omos, being accompanied by that weasel Dorian Roldan, of course. They take on Mini Vikingo and, of course, our former Latin American champion, El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Now, of course, we know that Vikingo has issues towards Mini Vikingo recently. That kind of sets it up right there. We all saw that that Mini Vikingo helped Dr. Wagner Jr. in their last match in Noche de Los Grandes, that sort of thing. But of course, we all knew that Dorian was going to get involved one way or the other because that's always what he's known for. But however, it was Mini Vikingo who picked up the win when he applied the crucifix bomb onto him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then of course, almost, let's just say, decided to decapitate, of course, Mini Vikingo and Hijo de Dr. Wagner. But thank God for little brother, or should I say, little big brother, Galeno del Mal, Wagner's brother, tried to do everything humanly possible to take the big man down. But however, it was just way too much for him. So basically almost took him out as well. Despite that, of course, Vikingo may have lost this match. I'm sure that he will love nothing more to hurt Mini Vikingo even further. So we'll see how things would go. Now, Dominic Mysterio put on, as you know, a video promo, as you probably can guess. It tried to inform everybody that he understood there are new champions in, of course, in AAA, but also he wants to declare himself that he is still of course, the AAA Mega Champion, and this is his world. So that's what he's declaring, basically making his statement. Now, our next match is a three-way for the AAA World Cruiserweight title. We have Laredo Kid versus Lince Dorada versus Rey Fenix. Now, remember, in Noches de Grandes, Rey Fenix won this belt against Laredo Kid by orders and booking by none other than Rey Mysterio himself, of course. And that would lead to all. But of course, Laredo Kid tried to play the smart game, tried to isolate Rey Fenix because he knows that if he cannot defeat him in the normal way, technically Rey Fenix doesn't need to be pinned. If he pins, of course, Lince Dorada, that makes him the winner. So he tried to play the smart, but it did not work exactly like we would. But however, once again, it was in fact the Muscle Buster that set it up right there for him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. Rey Fenix retained the championship. Now, a bit of an interview with the general manager, Rey Mysterio. He talked about, of course, Lola Vice versus La Hiedra. They will be making that match happen next week, and I can't wait to see that. But he also talked about a former WWE World Champion will be making his way down there. So it's still unclear who it was, but I'm sure we'll definitely find out soon enough. Now, before the show ended, of course, we had a surprise visit from El Grande Americano, of course, talking about Noche de Los Grandes, which is the night where he defeated the original El Grande Americano, or as people call him, El Chaparro, which means shorty. So that kind of sets it up right there. And he was telling how he was thankful for the people who stood by him, of course. Ojitos, who was there too, if you guys saw him. He even talked about Pimpinela, who was there too, supporting him, and of course the love of his life, Andrea. So he was talking about that, and not to mention, he mentioned how much he said this match was dedicated to the people of Mexico defeating original Grande Americano. But the real question, I think many people were probably wondering the same thing about him. What's next? Obviously, for those who don't know, he is the winner of Reyes de los Reyes, which is like King of the Kings, basically a tournament that happens every year. And the winner, of course, gets an opportunity to call his shot for the AAA Mega Championship. So obviously, that's what he wants. He wants to win the big one. Now, before he proceeds anything else, what we thought was Liv Morgan, because of course, we thought because she'll defend her man, Dominic Mysterio, of course, that sort of thing. It was in fact Carmen Petrova. We had no idea what was going on. Then we did Salberto, then we saw Garza, and then Daga, who hasn't been seen in AAA since 2023. And then all of a sudden, Bronco Lima showed up and just attacked them. So everybody attacked them like it was nothing, like a bunch of rabid dogs. But later it was revealed the truth, what was behind it. They all removed their jackets and it showed Los Perros Del Mal. Now, for those who are not familiarized with this group, this was a faction that was formed by none other than Hijo de Perro Aguayo, or also known as Perro Aguayo Jr., who is a second-generation wrestler who died years ago. He had a faction that dominated both CMLL and AAA. And Daga, of course, was one of its members during that time. There has been many people. Now, I will do a discussion video, talk about the Perros Del Mal for those who don't know who they are. Basically, you can say, some people are saying, are they like the version of Bullet Club? Well, they kind of look like it, but they're nothing compared. They were one of the most, how to say, popular heel groups in all of Mexico, and they were popular then. But I'll explain more about you guys, so I'm gonna set everything out. So just be patient with me. I will get to that soon. So as of right now, we are done with this one. Let's move on to our last review, and that is MLW Fusion. Okay, MLW Fusion 200, you choose violence. Now, keep in mind, this particular one has 2 episodes into one. So I will actually stop where it actually stops, so that way you guys know exactly the hour. Now, this is their much recent show that also came out, of course, earlier this year, but was not uploaded until just recently, of course. We opened up with Lucha Libre style, Neon, who is 1/3 of the Trios champions in CML, taking on Soberano Jr. And the match was pretty good. There was a lot of good high flying spots that I think many people like. But one thing that sucked, of course, Soberano decided to low blow the referee and then spike him down with a slam, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he won. Next one, we have the newest member of Country Unit, Okumura, taking on a guy named Victor Inistra. Don't know much about him, but of course, this match was definitely going to fall into favor with none other than Okumura. He put him in a camel clutch, and just like that, he tapped out. However, of course, Country Unit are making a statement that they are now in control. Recently, it was foretold that Country Unit got rid of Cesar Duran, Mads Kruger, and Selena De La Renta. So it's still unclear what's going to happen. I'm sure Court Bauer is definitely going to try something to figure out what to do next. Now, we did see Killer Cross and his wife Scarlett Bordeaux making their way. And then, of course, Matt Riddle showed up and tried to hug him, saying, "Thank you for keeping my title warm." Now, of course, as you know, it was messed up what happened. Alex Hammerstone was bitter for a while, and then he tried to cause this match to go into a no contest. And of course, I'm sure Cross is not going to take kindly with Matt Riddle for what he's doing, just being all this lovey-dovey type of person, because he doesn't trust him one way or the other. Now, we did see Scarlett Bordeaux in the ring taking on someone named Blair Onyx, and Scarlett Bordeaux picked up the win when she applied the Scarlet Ladder, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. Now, we've been wondering what Shotzi Blackheart mentioned. Now it's time to hunt down monsters. Well, she went to find the final resting place of none other than Mads Kruger. Now, don't forget, Country Unit actually kicked him out, and they buried him. And of course, she revived him like it was Frankenstein, of course. But one thing that was interesting, what the commentator says, that if I was Country Unit, I will look over my own shoulders, and he's not wrong. Now, this was the last match before we start the second hour, and this one features, of course, Alex Hammerstone versus Ultimo Guerrero. Obviously, of course, Alex Hammerstone has one thing in mind, is the MLW World Heavyweight Championship, and that's something that he's been aiming for until, of course, MJF, of course, showed up and decided to put in his head. But of course, Hammerstone shoved Ultimo Guerrero to the ref, and then low blowed him, and then applied the Nightmare Pendulum, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then Matt Riddle kind of called him out, calling him what a pathetic loser, whatever he called him, and then it turned into a brawl. So you can tell how that's gonna go, because Hammerstone will love nothing more to get Matt Riddle all of the way, so he can be the one to obtain the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the second hour begins with the MLW National Openwight Championship. Austin Aries issued a challenge against Blue Panther, and that's something that we've been seeing. Now, of course, Diego Hill was by Blue Panther's side, and of course, Austin Aries was trying to do dirty things to ensure, but apparently a big mistake happened from Blue Panther when he tried to crush Austin Aries, but he got Diego Hill by mistake. But it was, of course, Austin Aries with the Mudo lock onto him, but Blue Panther did not tap out, but it was referee's call. It was over. New MLW National Champion. Now, the Skyscrapers, as you know, has been causing nothing but problems. They disrespect Shotzi Blackheart. She was not going to let stand, so you know how that's going to turn out. Now, our next match is Lily Ruiz taking on Zamaya. Zamaya, as you know, who's one of their latest acquisitions, who just was signed by MLW. Man, she really put up everything she can against her by applying the killer bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, Shotzi Blackheart is giving barking orders to none other than Mads Kruger after what the Skyscrapers did to her, so it later became known as Mads Kruger versus Bishop Dyer in the match. Now, our next match, Templario versus Místico. Obviously, as you all know, these two guys have faced off before many times over the years, and that's always been clear. And this match was intensified. I mean, these guys did everything humanly possible to destroy each other, try to put one down over the other. But in the end, it was Místico with La Mística, which is the Fujiwara armbar, and just like that, forced Templario to tap out. And then, of course, Don Gato showed up, and he and Místico shared some drinking of tequila together. So that kind of ends it right there. Now, our main event is Bishop Dyer versus Mads Kruger. Now, of course, Bishop Dyer is definitely going to try to take down the big man, and that's exactly what he did. But however, Mads Kruger overcame him and applied the DDT, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But of course, wherever Bishop Dyer was at, Dijak Donovan will be there, of course, to attack him, and that's exactly what it. But however, of course, the skyscrapers, maybe they think they may have been done with the Good Brothers, but they were not done, so they decided to give a helping hand. Then we saw Gallows, of course, grab a tequila drink and shared it with Mads Kruger, so it was like bottoms up, and they had a little night party going on, so it was great. So don't know what's going to happen next week, but it's going to be fun. So we'll see how things will go. We'll pay attention what's going on with MLW, and of course what's going to be the decision, of course, when it comes to the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll leave things as it is and move forward. So right now, let's end this episode with some news updates. Alright, so welcome to our news updates. So we have updates for upcoming events. As you know, we have the latest upcoming produced show, Volume 2, Tiger Style, that will take place on the 16th of July. Number 14th of the 15-man Magic Ticket Battle Royal. They just announced Bam Sullivan as the 14th participant. So we have one more person. It's still to be announced yet. So I'll get to that if that's the case. And then, of course, as you know, we have the WXW Pro Wrestling Grand Prix. They'll go between September 25th through the 27th, and they just announced Killer Kelly will be participating. Now, on to developments. Now, by the time this video is out, it's already happened. We want to give congratulations, happy birthday to 3 of Stardom's rookies. We're talking about Maitoi Hamabe, Emma Maishima, and Ane Kanaya. Now, for some of you probably wondering, how old are they? Well, Maitoi Hamabe is 21 years old, Emma Maishima 23, and of course Ane Kanaya 28. So they were all celebrating with their stables. Well, Ane Kanaya is not officially a member of Cosmic Angels yet, but she's on the assessment, that sort of thing. So that's really what's happening. Now, there's been talk about recently, many of you may remember when I talk about the conversion, Xena, as you know, mentioned that her last match will be on July 8th in Korakuen Hall. It's been foretold that WWE have their eyes. There has been some interest in her, of course. Obviously, for those who don't know, I don't know they want her in because, A, of her relationship with Daga. Many of you know this, that she's in a relationship with them. And I wouldn't be surprised of that. Now, of course, many of you may remember, Xena's not the only one who was part of Club Venus that was signed by WWE. So was Blake Monroe, of course. She was part of the Club Venus with Mina Shirakawa as well. So I don't know what's the idea. It's still no confirmation yet, but we'll stay close to this, to what's going on. So these were reports that have been indicating recently, but not sure if it's 100%, but it is a possibility. Now, many of you may saw what happened in conversions. Apparently, there's been some bit of situation between the members of Hate, more specifically Momo Watanabe and Saya Kamitani. If you guys saw what happened, Momo accidentally whacked Kamitani in that match where they're facing Utami Ishida and the members of Neo Genesis. And of course, in the post-match comments, Momo called her weak for some odd reason. She said she wasn't as weak as I remembered. So, but Kamitani went into social media and kind of called her out on that, saying, "Huh? Are you trying to say I'm weak right now? That's rich coming from someone who's never won the red belt once. It's not like he's weak or anything. I just believe that there was no way um, w- um, that she would lose to someone like Utami Ishida and came crawling back. I decided I'd be the one to take that belt from her, who was in the it got taken away so easily. I wondered." So I think she's questioning her. How is it that she lost the red belt that easily? You know. So I'm sure Kamitani's not going to take that kindly. But like I said, the only thing I know for sure when it comes to Momo, she would definitely want that belt for herself, and that's something that's kind of obvious. Now, many of you know this. I mentioned about Los Perros del Mal. Uh, of course, after Pedro Aguayo passed away years ago, his family kind of took control of the name itself. Later, it was reported by, of course, people saying that Los Perros del Mal received, of course, the blessing from Pedro Aguayo's family. Of course, many of you don't know this. The year after Pedro Aguayo passed away, his father passed away. So I'm going to presume that either his mom or siblings or whoever in his family are in control of it were told that they were okay with use it. So it would make absolute sense. I mean, it's something common that I've been seeing in wrestling. If those who don't know what I'm referring to, let me talk to you guys about that. Whenever AEW are allowing to have wrestlers to do coming out the rafters, more specifically Darby, we know this thing was well recognized to do that in the past. Tony Khan decided to talk to Martha Hart, of course, Owen Hart's widow, asking her permission if it's okay, because they know how much she does not like these things. We know that this is what killed her husband, and we're not going to overlook that one way or the other. So it's basically like that, like saying we're asking your permission if it's okay. We know how much you don't like this, and I think Martha Hart appreciates that they don't want to hurt her, knowing too well that this is what killed her husband. So, but when it comes to Los Perros Del Mal, you all know this is something that was definitely something that belonged to Pedro Aguayo, and I'm sure his family were okay with the idea, knowing that they're going to bring something back that was magical. Even Taya Valkyrie mentioned it too. So we'll get to that at some point. Like I said, during the review of AAA, that I will do a discussion video regarding about Los Perros del Mal. Now, related to that, Dave Meltzer just recently went on about that, and he said Los Perros del Mal's t-shirt decade ago in Mexico was like Austin 316 shirts 15 years ago in the United States. Arena Mexico on Friday night, Aguayo Jr. appeared almost in the headlines position, was regularly doing 10,000 fans weekly and would hit 15 and above when the match against Santo or Místico. As far as the singular arena, which ran multiple times, it was one of the greatest attendance runs in pro wrestling history. In the full March 30th, 15th edition, so yeah, this is exactly what's happened. They were talking about how they were a magical team, and Taya Valkyrie actually mentioned that too. So, like I said, I will do a video about this. I'll do a discussion video, talk about Los Perros del Mal, about their origins, about who was in the group, what made them completely different. Oh, and also on an added note, for those who don't know, I'm not BSing about Los Perros del Mal, but guess who else was part of that group? Well, Penta himself. Yes, Penta was in it. He was in part of that group, and I think he was one of the last members before Pedro Aguayo passed away. So that sets it up right there. So, but you'll find out why. I do. But here's the thing: what you guys don't know about, of course, I did mention about Los Perros. Both Berto and Garza, many of you know they're cousins. Their uncle was also an original member of Los Perros as well, and Daga was part of that too. So it would make sense to have them. And what's also interesting from what I'm hearing, Taya Valkyrie was happy to see that another fellow Canadian joined the group. Basically, it's kind of like saying I'm passing the torch to another Canadian who's joining the group. So we'll talk more about this in that discussion video. But for right now, we'll leave things as it is and call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, well, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. But however, I did mention I will do a discussion video about Los Perros Del Mal, talk about every dude. So just give me a bit of time to gather everything, in fact, gather every information I can find, and everything else, so that way we understand. And of course, we'll give like thoughts about how will the new version of Los Perros Del Mal will be. And also, for many that don't know this, there was a Japanese version of them, uh, that Carlos Perros Del Mal de Japón. I will talk about that too. Give you guys my thoughts about that as well. It's kind of like a different revival, but we'll see. But for now, we'll leave things as it is, and I'll see you the next time. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.